Let's call to order the special meeting of the Reno Sparks Convention Visitors Authority for February 7th at 3 p.m. At this time, can we get a roll call?
Mr. Caroselli? Here. Mr. Dillard?
Here.
Mr. Lawson?
Here.
Mr. Murdoch?
Here.
Mayor Sheevy?
Here.
Mr. Sturbins? Mr. Wood? Mr. Wowo?
Here.
All right, looks like we have thank you, Madam Clerk, looks like we have a quorum of the board. Mr. Wowo, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, sir?
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I'm getting feedback.
My car.
Can you hear us? Hello?
Yep. Are we good? Can everybody hear everybody?
We lost, I think we lost the board meeting.
Nope. You there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here. I lost the board meeting. I can't hear anything.
Can you hear
I'm
me
still
okay?
here, Bob. I can hear you.
All right. I got Ed and I've got Bill Wood and I know I've got the mayor still. But I don't know. I can't hear the boardroom.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. So I think it's microphones. So we just need to be sensitive, make sure everybody's got their mic on when they're speaking. I think we turned it off for the Pledge of Allegiance and you didn't hear it.
Okay. Thank you. All right. So thank you, Mr. Wowo. Do we have any public comment at this time, Mr. Kennedy? If there's any public comment or any of those signed in for public comment.
We do. We have one slip from Mr. Richard J.
All right. Will you host public comment from you, Mr. Kennedy?
Yes. Go, Mr. J.
Good morning and thank you very much, or afternoon. I guess it is afternoon now. Richard J., representing Washoe County School, SOS Washoe, and 65,000 students. I'm going to keep this very short. You know, I know how precious your time is. We know why we're here. We don't need to waste any more of your time. We've heard all the reasons to build Wild Creek School. We know the opposition out there, and we'll never be 100% in agreement with all this. But when you look at the score, 65,000 to 35, I think that speaks. We know Wild Creek is needed sooner than later. We know the overcrowding issue. We know the needs for HUG to be repurposed into vocational training. We know Wild Creek is clearly the best site for the high school. The opposition will tell you again, traffic, flooding issues, soils, FAA issues, location, everything else. Every issue has been more than addressed in the 688-page due diligence report issued by Wood Rogers. I just wonder if our opposition has actually read that report. There's a lot of great information. We purposely did not bring any additional parents here to say what they've already said in the past. Your time is precious. We respect that. Bottom line, it's bottom of the ninth. Count is 3-2. Let's throw that fastball pitch. Let's throw a strike. Let's end this game, and let's get Wild Creek going. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. J. Appreciate the comments. Mr. Kennedy, are there any further public comment at this time?
No further public comments signed in.
All right. All right, we'll close public comment and we'll move on to the next item, which is item C, looking for an approval of the agenda. Looking for a motion.
So moved. Mr. Wool for the record.
I have a motion from Mr. Wowo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
I have a second. I have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. All right. First item of business is the approval of the board member from the Nevada Reserve Association pursuant to NRS 244A. Mr. Kennedy, will you take us into this?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. In your meeting materials, you'll find a letter from Ms. Virginia Valentine with the Nevada Resort Association. Mr. Dillard's term has expired. Per NRS 244A 601 1D4, the Nevada Resort Association has nominated Mr. Dillard for another 2-year appointment. If approved, that appointment would take effect immediately. This item is open for discussion by the entire board, but voted on by the elected officials only. With that, I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to open the floor right now for any discussion in regards to the reappointment of Lee Dillard for the seat of the NRA. Are there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, Nat Carasali, I think we should reappoint Mr. Dillard to the board. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Caraselli. Any further discussion?
Yeah. Do we only get one name?
We only did get one name at this time from NRA, and
So I got to vote no based on the fact that we are requiring 2.
okay.
Mr. Chair.
Maybe someone from the NRA can speak to that. Did they know that we kind of like to have other names come up, or?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, would I be able to make a comment on that? Would we be able to just push this and not vote on this today if that's the consideration that we need more names, even though the NRA has put his name forth to be the one on the seat? I also would agree with Mr. Caraselli that I would like to see Mr. Dillard reappointed, but if it's going to be a point of contention, I think we should maybe push it to the next meeting for us to have that vote.
Okay. They did not submit one name, and I think we've had this discussion, and we can ask for them to come back with more if that's the pleasure of the board. But what I would stand is that we have had this discussion for a number of the agencies that do appoint members to our board. NRA is a special member to the RSCVA because they do hold 3 seats on our board, and that their membership is so small. It's really difficult for them to put more than a certain amount of names on because they have so many seats and their membership is so small. It makes it very challenging for them to do so. We can go back and ask for them to do that. That was one of the discussions we had when we had the other appointments from the other boards. But at this time, we would leave that discussion up to the board. I would be in support of Mr. Dillard and wouldn't want to delay the process. But if that is the willingness of the board, we can do that. Any other discussion? All right, I'm not seeing any other discussion. Should we, Mr. Kennedy? I mean, what is the appetite?
Sure. So the statute indicates that the elected officials are entitled to a list of nominees being plural. I understand that to mean 2 or more. But you're not required to consider 2. And in the past, the elected officials have considered one name being submitted and have either given that name an up or down vote. It's really up to your discretion. So the 3 elected officials are the ones that will vote on this. If you want to go ahead today and vote, you can. And if you want to delay and request the NRA submit more than one name, you're entitled to do that as well. It's really up to your discretion.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kennedy. Mr. Caraselli.
All right, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Ms. Sheevy.
I'm happy to make that motion, but I would just say in the future, because this has been one of those things that we've asked for, more names to come forward, and that really is just so that there is consensus on other, participants, instead of keeping, seats too long, because that would be really great to rotate. But in the interest of time, I'm happy to motion for Mr. Dillard. But I would just ask that the NRA, moving forward, that, give us some more names, just like we have had with the chamber and other groups that sit on the RSCVA.
Understood.
If you're so inclined to do that, but I'll make that motion, Mr. Chairman. But if
All
not,
right. All right.
let me know.
Great. I have a motion from Mrs. Sheevy. I do have a comment from Mr. Caraselli. Mr. Caraselli.
I was just going to reiterate the point that I believe there have been discussions between the NRA and the chairman in the recent past, and I think we only have 7 members, and we have 3 on the board here, and you know, it's been their policy over and over and over again for the NRA board to vote on it and present one name, and I know that it is not against the rules to do so, so I would, again, I agree with you with Mayor Hillary and yourself, and recommend you would appoint Mr. Dillard again.
All right. I'm going to second the motion because I
Well,
believe.
I just,
Go ahead, Mr. Lawson.
this is where the unfairness comes in my mind. We said we weren't going to do this ever again, and here we go doing it again. So I'm going to go on record that I'm opposed, not because of Mr. Dillard, but because we didn't get 2 names. And that's exactly the reason why Mr. Wowo got on, is because you refused to accept a single nominee from another entity.
And I'm comfortable, I just went on the record, Mr. Chairman, I'm comfortable since it sounds like to me Mr. Caraselli said that they did vote on it, so that there was consensus on their board. So because of the fact that they voted on it, I'm comfortable with that.
Thank you, Mayor Sheevy, and thank you, Mr. Lawson, for the comments, and Mr. Caraselli. I do believe that, this is, on Mr. Lawson, I do agree with you, and we did make this a very poignant discussion in regards to making sure that we had multiple choices for the electeds to choose from, and that this is the board of the RSCVA. However, the one discussion that I did have with the members of the NRA is that they did hold a meeting and had this discussion at length amongst their membership. As Mr. Caraselli pointed out, there's only current 7 members of that membership. And from that membership, that this was a reappointment, not for an open seat, but a reappointment of one of their sitting members. So that was why we accepted just the one name. And I understand your frustration. However, that this is, this was a different circumstance. Different from others, but maybe we should make it a different discussion going forward, a little bit more consistent. So I will relay back to the NRA those discussion points from you. But at this point, I have a motion on the table from Mayor Sheevy, and I'm seconding that motion. So I'm going to call for the vote at this time from the elected officials. So all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Mayor Sheevy?
Aye.
Okay. Mayor Pro Tem Lawson?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries 2-1. Mr. Dillard, welcome back. Thank you. All right. We're moving on to item D2. Item D2 is board review and possible approval of the cooperative agreement to transfer Wild Creek Golf Course and related assets to the Washoe County and the authority to proceed. This is a discussion and kind of a final culmination of a project that this board has been working on for quite some time to move the project over into Washoe County School District's hands for their future expansion of the high school at the said location, but at the same time allowing us to retain some community golf within the area. I think the plans that we've seen here at the Convention Visitors Authority allow for the evolution of both of those things to continue on into the future, which is of great concern for a lot of people, but also for great benefit for the community. So with that, what I'll do is I'll turn it over to Mr. DeLone at this time for any kind of intro into this item.
In your packet is a very well-written and descriptive overview drafted by Ben Kennedy as counsel on our discussion today of transferring our interest via quitclaim to Washoe County. The 3-page document describes in detail what we propose to do. Ben, do you want to touch upon any of the highlights?
So what I'll do is, for legal counsel, if there are any questions in regards to the agreement between the RSCVA and Washoe County as it pertains to golf and the property, I'll have Mr. Kennedy as counsel answer those. So are there any discussion or questions for legal counsel at this time? I'm seeing none here in the boardroom. Are there anybody on the phone wishing to have questions in regards to this item? All right. Hearing no discussion. Looking, Mr. Caraselli.
Move to approve item D2.
I have a motion from Mr. Caraselli to, hold on one second, actually. I'm getting pulled over by counsel here. Mr. Kennedy.
Sure. So just so we're clear, what we're asking today is for the board to approve this agreement. And as far as status, this agreement's been approved by the Washoe County School District and will go before Washoe County Board of County Commissioners in the near future. We're asking for the agreement to be approved to authorize Mr. DeLone in connection and working with me to finalize any remaining details, and then ultimately to execute the agreement and related exhibits.
Do you want me to add that on to my motion?
Yes, sir.
I add that on to my motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. All right, I've got a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? Mr. Murdoch? Okay, no further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? No, hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. All right. All right, we are on to board member comments. Item F. Are there any board member comments for? Mr. Dillard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would just like to say on behalf of myself that I certainly thank you and appreciate the support and the kind comments from everyone, and look forward to being an active and serving member of the committee moving forward for the next period. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Dillard. And, just for a point of reference too, as it regards to the item for Wild Creek, it will be heard on the agenda for the February 19th at the Board of County Commissioners. So with no other further comments from the board or any members at this time, I seeing no public comment here in the boardroom. We have no public comment. Oh, Madam Chair, Madam Mayor.
Can I just make a quick public comment, Mr. Chair?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you so much. I just wanted to say thank you to Phil DeLone, and what a fantastic job he did the other night at State of the City and being so supportive of the City of Reno. So I just wanted to make sure he knew that, and I've received a lot of great feedback. So thank you, Phil. I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Mayor. That means a lot. Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
All right. Well, and congratulations on a very successful State of the City, Madam Mayor. I've heard it was wonderfully and well attended. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be in attendance.
Next year.
Next year, hopefully. I will I'll for sure put it on my calendar for next year. All right. Seeing no further discussion and no public comment further here on the board, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.